Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, depending on where you're listening from. My name is Chijioke Agose, a sales manager with Dawn and Bradstreet. And today, the 22nd of October, 2025, we have a key discussion to uh, to share amongst ourselves, focusing on procurement as a profit center and turning vendor management into a growth engine. Here are our housekeeping rules. The webinar is going to be recorded and shared at the end of the session, and which means all lines will be muted and unmuted by the host when necessary. Please submit your queries, your concerns through the chat box, and for your questions, you can put it in the Q&A box during the webinar, or you could kindly raise your hand. For further inquiries, you could reach out to the email on your screen. So our host today is none other than Dun& Bradstreet. And for those joining us for the first time, Dun& Bradstreet is a global establishment spanning over 200 countries and territories, fully functional, and with the largest depository of business records globally. And for over 184 years, we have provided information and data-driven services to support businesses in risk management, compliance checks, and governance for better decision making. Also, our global database houses over 620 million business records, which is why businesses of all categories, both large, medium, and small, depend on us for various reasons, including expansion and business protection. Our keynote speaker for today is a seasoned supply chain professional with over 20 years of experience in power and utility sector, renewable energy, consumer goods, and is based in Lagos. She has held multi-billion-dollar projects delivering cost savings, efficiency gains, and regulatory compliances. So having said that, there is no other person in the best position to explain to us how vendor management rather can be turned into a growth engine. Good morning, Shade. How are you today?
Thank you for the introduction, Chijoke. Good morning and good morning, everyone.
Thank you. So, Shade, you'll be taking up from here. Thank you.
Wonderful. A big warm welcome again to everyone. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining me for our discussion today, Procurement as a Profit Center. I am Shadi Fabola, a supply chain professional and principal consultant at Chain Advisory Services. We specialize in providing supply chain solutions to Nigerian businesses with a big focus on SMEs. Today, we will explore transforming procurement from a cost center into a revenue driver for Nigerian businesses. And we will also uncover actionable strategies through strategic vendor selection, performance tracking, and also technology. The entire presentation shouldn't be more than 60 minutes, and it is going to include two polls and a question and answer session. So let's get started. And kindly note, feel free to hold your questions till the end of the presentation. Thank you. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Thank you. All right, so just to warm up, can someone give me the definition of a vendor? Any generic definition? Anyone? Chijoke, can you help me with? I think, okay, is there any definition I can work with there? Who is our vendor in procurement? Who is your vendor? Do we have any volunteers to that?
Not yet. Okay. Someone
A
said
supplier. Thank
supplier,
you,
yes.
Viva. Okay, I have, yes, Viva said a supplier. Yes, your vendor is your supplier. Is there any other supporting definition there? A supplier or service provider. Thank you, Shegun. So really quickly, those two definitions. A vendor is, thank you, is typically a seller, while the buyer is the customer or client. You are all correct. First and foremost, the definition we have of our vendor is a supplier of goods and services. But we all know that your vendor does more than that for you. As a matter of fact, I believe that definition should further be expanded. Say that your vendor is not only your supplier of goods and services, but your vendor is also potentially your source of competitive advantage. And this is simply because the output of your vendor directly impacts your output, your organization. It's the quintessential garbage in, garbage out. So if you have a super vendor that is a high performer and is delivering on time and giving you high quality products or services and giving you at competitive costs, that in turn affects your own output to your organization and eventually the organization's output itself. So what I'm saying in essence is this: your vendor is more than just your supplier of goods and services. The vendor or the quality of the vendor you engage or onboard into your business that is, sorry, directly affect your organization's ability to perform. So your vendor is pretty much your secret weapon or your greatest enemy. So moving into our first slide, transforming procurement from cost to profit. So traditionally in the past, procurement was viewed as a cost center, and that's simply because procurement has come a long way from being purely a cost.
Sorry,
I lost
Shade.
you for a second.
Yes.
Yeah, I noticed, yes. Cost to profit. Thank you, Ngozi. So I was saying that procurement has come a long way from the old world of just pure cost management, purchase and purchase, to a new era where procurement is actually now leading the way for innovative solutions and services, unlocking new revenue streams and building your supply chain, making it more resilient through engaging very strong vendors. Now, for Nigerian businesses, this transformation procurement is currently undergoing isn't just a matter of, it isn't just essential and or beneficial anymore. It is compulsory for businesses to start looking at this shift from procurement being a purely cost center to that which drives innovation, resilience, and also technological advancements. So what we're going to be doing today is we will explore how procurement can become that tool for growth and also competitive advantage. And to tailor this, for the next slide, I'm going to crave your indulgence and ask you to participate in a poll where you discuss what your common vendor related challenges are. So for the next poll, so we're going to get ready for our first poll of our discussion. Chijoke, next slide, please. Thank you. So what we have here are we've curated 11 vendor related challenges we believe businesses in Nigeria today actually experience. There are 11 of them. So of the 11, which of them affect your businesses the most? So we have strategic cost reduction, supplier credit, which is basically cost, supplier credibility, getting good vendors, communication issues, port congestion for those of you that rely heavily on importation, supply chain reliability, performance tracking, regulatory compliance, currency fluctuation, data security, risk management, or specialized vendor sourcing. So which of these challenges hit you the most in your various organizations? Please select all that apply through the webinar chat box. Thank you. I'll just give you a minute to do that. I haven't been able to see anybody's answer. Have you selected any of the challenges that apply to you?
Okay, so far we have currency fluctuation topping the vote.
Currency fluctuation,
Yes.
very good. Common problem experienced by all. Communication issues, very good. Credibility
Also,
is also a very big problem. Thank you for
there's
that.
also strategic cost
Performance
reduction.
tracking, fantastic. Strategic cost reduction is also a very, thank you. Communication issues seems to be leading, and currency fluctuation. Very good. So from the responses we're getting so far, it seems like definitely a lot of businesses suffer from access to specialized vendors. Communication issues definitely seems to be a common challenge. Credibility is almost linked to specialized vendor sourcing. So this is also well noted. And the whole essence of having this poll is to have aggregate common problems, and also and you realize that in the course of our discussion come up with solutions to some of these common problems that have been cited here. So thank you very much for the insights. Yes, you have definitely helped in shaping the conversation we'll be having today. So we'll move on to the next slide. Thank you very much. Next slide, please, Chijo. Positioning procurement as a strategic profit driver. So this is where most of my English is going to happen. Okay. And that's because we can't stop talking about this. We all know that the very first advantage of having a strong procurement department is strategic cost reduction. Okay, procurement evolution, like I said, has gone from being just a mere cost center to a strategic profit driver, impacting your business's financial health and market position. So the diagram I have here, I'm basically just going to walk us through how procurement's evolution has happened and how you can start looking at your procurement department in very different lights to harness some of these advantages. So starting with cost center, you can achieve your strategic cost reduction through leveraging on your supplier relationships, negotiating better terms, making savings, and in that way you can directly contribute to lowering operational costs and improving your organization's profit margin. Very simple. OCM, work well with your vendors, negotiate better terms and cost, and that directly hits your bottom line. But what if we tell you that what if we tell you that, are you looking at your strategy in the right way? And what if your procurement strategy could actually do more than just cost savings and position your business as a leader in that sector, or even make it stand out? with a new competitive advantage. So we'll move on to partnering for innovation. By simply engaging with the right suppliers, you can actually unlock new products, services, or processes. I.e., if you have a supplier who is really big on, say, innovation and R&D, and on an annual basis, they keep upgrading their products and product offering and their service offering. That's just the same way, one of my conversation on for this presentation when I said your vendor directly impacts your performance. In the same vein, flipping this over, if you engage suppliers that have some competitive edge, it also affects your performance. And I'll give you an example of how this works. So through partnering for innovation and engaging innovative suppliers, you can unlock new products and services, providing a competitive edge through differentiation and enhanced customer value. And nobody does this better as well as Apple. Apple's iPhones and Macs are differentiated by their customized design and high performance microchips. The OEM for the microchips is called TSMC, and they provide superior manufacturing quality and technological edge. This is their own competitive advantage. Now, what Apple has done is Apple has leveraged on this competitive advantage, and today their products will not be as powerful or as efficient without this relationship with their OEM. So this is Apple just doing what? Taking advantage of what their supplier is already great at. And it has in turn affected their own ability to differentiate their products from competition. And then supply chain reliability. To secure your supply chain reliability, you need a robust and reliable supply chain network. And this is because this will help you minimize disruptions. We have a very volatile economy, so you need to have a very resilient supply chain. And it's not just the economy, even globally, there are economic and regional unrest that trickle down to what we do locally. So it's very important to have a resilient network of suppliers. And nobody does this as well as Toyota. Toyota illustrates this through its relationship with its Keiretsu. So the Keiretsu approach is having a group of companies that come together in a cross-functional shareholding manner and they build a new corporate structure. Basically, everybody comes with their best foot forward from planning to sourcing to delivery and all that, all across the supply chain. And this is what Toyota does. They have a closely integrated network of suppliers, and they are famous for their approach using JIT and Kaizen. With this kind of vendor ecosystem, you have we can see what Toyota's competitive advantage in reliability and manufacturing efficiency is. That has been Toyota's selling point from time immemorial. They keep it simple, they keep it effective. And like Toyota, Nigerian businesses can also learn to leverage on strong vendor networks and build reliable supply chains that will not only avoid stockouts, but also transform the supply chain as a whole from just being a normal business to a springboard for lasting success. Next slide, please. Thank you. So what we have here is a, a case study of a Lagos-based textile manufacturing company. And what I'm trying to, I'm going to walk you through here is how you can actually come up with a dual sourcing strategy if your current isn't working. So like, as I mentioned, we have a Lagos-based textile manufacturing company that is currently experiencing challenges due to currency fluctuations and shipping delays. So the instability of the naira and regional supply chain disruptions have significantly affected their shipments. So their raw materials, which are mostly imported, are arriving in country very late, and this is impacting their operations since they're not getting their raw materials on time. I'm sure their production schedule is skewed, and as a result, they're not able to get finished goods out on time into the market, affecting their sales as well. So they are faced with a double dilemma. Operations is being slowed down and sales are declining. So what has the company decided to do? The company decided to adopt a dual sourcing strategy. This way, they have kept the sourcing of their cotton, which is their main raw material, local by engaging local suppliers. However, for their dyes, the procurement of their dyes, they've decided to stick to international suppliers for quality and economies of scale. And the result of adopting this dual sourcing strategy, they got faster delivery and stability from the local suppliers, securing a steady supply of raw materials. And also, they were able to maintain production continuity, protect their revenue streams, and of course, their profitability was also protected. So basically, by reducing their foreign exchange risk and dependency, changing their sourcing strategy, and thinking local, they were able to trade off with some of the advantages of local versus international. And this
Sorry, Shade, if you're speaking, we've lost you for a while.
Yes, I'm back again.
Okay.
Apologies.
All right.
But I was able to finish that slide. So I think we can move on to the next slide, which is vendor. Oh, you changed it already, didn't you? The vendor selection criteria. Okay, super.
This is the next slide, yes.
Yes, awesome. Okay. So for the vendor selection criteria, now that we've looked at what, how easy it is for you to change your sourcing strategy if your sole source isn't working, we now look at vendor selection criteria as a whole. Now, I know a lot of businesses think that cost should be the only factor when considering a vendor, but we have to think beyond pricing and costing. We have to look at other factors. So I have here four of the most commonly used criteria for vendor selection, starting with reliability. And then we have total cost of ownership, quality, and innovation. Simply put, working with reliable vendors will help you prevent revenue loss through timely delivery. And of course, we talked about the other advantages. Total cost of ownership, which is something a lot of companies don't look at. You need to assess the total cost of that product or service throughout the life of the product, including shipping and quality related expenses. That will give you an overall view of the value you are getting. It's also important to monitor defect rates, under quality, and compliance to minimize waste. Innovation, I've given you a very good advantage of how vendors who offer innovative solution can strengthen your own product or service offering. And the importance of these factors will vary by industry. Some will be more important to others, like in technical procurement, total cost of ownership is really big, while in some other, where you have where you have products that are consumed, quality and all that is very important. So depending on the industry, the weight of these factors vary. But in all, these are the four common criteria used in vendor selection. And of course, local market dynamics and challenges will need additional consideration. So the right balance of this criteria definitely varies by industry and business needs. Thank you. Next slide, please. Those local vendors are readily accessible, they're available in country. So it's a great idea to work with local vendors because It can help you mitigate forex risks, which are real. Also reduce your dependency on forex. We're also growing the economy by engaging local vendors. But the challenge with local vendors is they struggle sometimes with large orders. International vendors, on the other hand, yeah, well, they can definitely support you in terms of better quality and cost advantages, especially in terms of scale, which is where some local vendors seem to struggle. However, also remember that for international vendors, they still have to pass through our very long and stressful importation process, shipping delays, and not even before the vessel gets to Nigeria. We know that there are regional supply chain disruptions that will extend your vessel voyage time. So by the time your vessel gets to Nigeria, your raw materials are in country. You may have lost time. So it's really striking a balance between, leveraging on the strengths of your local vendors and also your international vendors. And in some cases, you might even have the capacity to develop your local vendor where they are struggling. And this is where performance tracking is very important. How do we, how are we able to select the right vendors? How are we able to, after selecting them, how are with identity, able to carry out the right amount of due diligence on them? How are we able to, after onboarding them, track their performance and get the best out of them? It would be great if we had automated systems or companies that can even carry this out. But while we move towards that, let's pull on this question. How do you track vendor performance? Slide 13, please. Slide 13. Fantastic. Yes. How do you track vendor performance today? Yes. Yes, that's fine. So we have four common ways of tracking vendor performance. There are spreadsheets, specialized software, manual, or options D, no formal tracking. So please indulge us again and select which of these applies to your business. Manually, okay. Thank you, Ngozi. Spreadsheets, fantastic. Manually, no formal tracking. Spreadsheets, no formal tracking. Spreadsheets, spreadsheet, specialized software. Wow. So from the responses we're getting, it's actually quite interesting. While you have a good number of people using spreadsheets, a few using specialized software, a good amount of people don't even have formal tracking thoughts for performance, for tracking vendor performance. So in the absence of this, it's important to have metrics in place. And for the next slide, I'm going to share with you, either way, however you manage, you track your vendors' performance. What is key here is what the metrics. Are you using the right metrics to track performance? And the next slide, we'll go into the next slide to show this. Chijoke, next slide, please. No, you've gone, you've gone slide 14. So it's the slide before this. Don't know why it's not coming up. It's the one before this. Okay, I'll keep talking while Chijoke tries to locate the right slide. Now, there are five commonly used KPIs in performance tracking, and and they are starting with on-time delivery, which is the amount of time or the percentage of um, products or services that were delivered on time. The industry standard is 95%. So basically, what that means is in order for your vendor to get a pass mark, 95% of the deliveries has to be on time. And then the next one is the quality score. And that is basically the amount of defects or the feedback from the user department on the quality score of any product or service. And the cutoff there is 4.5 of 5. That's like the review. Has to be a minimum of 4.5 out of 5. Lead time for responses, which is the amount of time your vendor spends to respond to a query is 7 days. Sorry, I'm sorry. Lead time for delivery is the amount of time your vendor uses to deliver a product to you. Now, 7 days is an average, right? And we just use 7 days because one is assuming that your local vendor is sourcing locally, and then when we add when we factor in transportation and delivery anywhere within Nigeria, we expect that within 7 days that delivery should have been done. But pre-delivery conversation. So the basically the acceptable lead time for local procurement. That's the time from order to delivery. Errors, percentage of invoices without errors, that's 98%. And that's saying we're not going to even give room for human errors at all. But again, human errors are almost impossible. So rather than saying 100% accuracy, if we're going to be realistic, it is 98%, taking into consideration human errors. And last but not the least, responsiveness. The amount of time your vendor takes to respond to queries should not be more than 24 hours. So having these metrics in place, you can use this to measure and track your vendor's performance. But at the same time, wouldn't it be great if we're able to do this on a daily basis without having to pause procurement? When we get there, I will definitely come up with a solution that can solve that problem. Next slide, please. So let's see how these metrics can be applied to lead to profit. So, Chijoke, if you can just good. So what I have here is how to apply these metrics, turning them from metrics to profits. And this case study is more specifically for retail SMEs. Now, for retail SMEs, using data-driven tools transforms performance. What we're saying is if you have some of these tools in place, because data is big, it's a lot, but if you have some of these tools in place, they can help you what? Collect your data, measure, apply the metrics, monitor your stockouts, and then automate interventions. Basically, what I'm saying is if you invest in some of these tools, that whole manual task of we are wading through tons of data, trying to understand what is what, who did this, how did they do it. All this can be automated, including the analysis. And then you now start getting what? Data-driven, sorry, you start getting data-driven information that you can now use for your decision making or even just to increase your sales. So in the case of retailers, having this helps them to plan better, reducing stockouts, optimizing their inventory. By reducing stockouts, what that means is you keep your shelves stocked. Your customer goes into the shop because you have gone through, you have all the information you need. Your customer goes into the shop, they are guaranteed to find your product on the shelf all the time. The minute your vendor or your customer is forced to consider an alternative, i.e., I enter the shop, I don't see your product on the shelf. I'm going for the next alternative, which is your competitor. You lose sales. So having this sort of system in place, you keep your shelf stocked and you can achieve up to 20% higher sales, as seen in a study carried out on Nigerian retailers. So it's been proven that these tools can maximize your revenue and ensure product availability all year round, enhancing customer satisfaction and, of course, loyalty. So the main lesson here is vendors need to invest in some of these tools tied to their operations so that it can boost revenue and, of course, profitability. Now, this is where technology comes in. So let us see how technology supercharges these efforts, and we'll explore this on the next slide. Next slide, please, Chijoke. Next slide. Okay, while Chijoke is trying to get the slide, let's look at technology and its impact on vendor
Yes,
management.
this is the next slide,
Yep.
buddy.
Yes, I've already, yes. So let's look at technology and how it impacts vendor management tools. Technology is the best thing since sliced bread. And a lot of you will agree, especially those of you that have spent painful hours manually collating information, because we work with a lot of information. So vendor management tools, vital for Nigerian businesses, need automation. Automation cuts manual tasks like data entry and also reduces errors. Once that has been done, it's important to have a repository of information. And technology has provided centralized analytics that offer a single source of truth for performance and spend insights. So you have this um, repository that has all your data, your previous purchase history, your spend, your vendor details, and of course, you can use this for future planning and also in many ways. And last but not the least, integration. Technology has provided integration, has first of all provided ERPs and also the means to integrate with ERPs, ensuring cohesion. Or simply put, if you have some systems in place already that are like standalone, what technology does is it helps bring together all these functions. And I'm talking about functions outside procurement. So you have inventory management, you have warehousing, you have finance, you have HR, you have safety. And if you invest in an ERP system or an integration solution, it brings together all these platforms and makes cohesion seamless and the flow of information better. You can track better, you can plan better, you can collaborate better. So these tools and having all these tools in place at the end of the day basically helps businesses and SMEs scale and also make informed decisions. Now let's look at everything we have discussed today. Let's poll on what strategy is most applicable to you and you will try first. So Chijoke, if you can take us to the next slide. We've had several, we touched on several points today in our conversation, and there are different strategies in the course of our conversation that has come up. We looked at dual sourcing strategy, we looked at vendor tracking, we looked at vendor performance tracking, we looked at innovation or partnering for innovation, we looked at strategic cost reduction, we looked at um, oh, well, about eight of them. I'm just waiting for the slides to come up. But based on today's discussion, I'd like for you to look at all the strategies we have talked about and thank you. And select which of them you think your business needs first. So like I mentioned, there's strategic cost reduction, there's partnering for innovation, building supply chain reliability, dual sourcing strategy, strategic vendor selection, verifying supplier credibility, data-driven performance tracking, and of course, my favorite, leveraging on technology. If you can just take a minute and look at which of these eight most applies to you and you would like to know more about its implementation? Okay. So far, do we have responses?
We have strategic cost reduction and strategic vendor selection.
Fantastic. I'm very happy those are the two, at least so far, that have been selected. And this is for a very simple reason. There are businesses out there and there are solutions out there that can actually help. Thank you. Data-driven performance tracking. These are challenges we actually face every day in procurement. It is so difficult for us to collate information manually and start reviewing them and trying to measure how well a vendor has done, especially with their metrics. And the same thing with even finding credible vendors is quite difficult. So imagine having access to a database where you can have access to credible vendors, their performance history, businesses they worked with in the past. And also, this same solution can also help you onboard them, not just carry out due diligence on them. It's also a solution that can help you onboard. You also have a solution that can help you performance tracking. Wouldn't that be awesome? Have? Or wouldn't that be a wonderful supplier to have or vendor to work with? So, for our next slide, I'm going to introduce us to a tool called Vendor. Okay, just as I said, wouldn't it be wonderful to have a one-stop solution for your vendor due diligence, for your onboarding, for your performance tracking, and getting new vendors, on your system. So there is a tool called Vendr, and that is a solution provided by Dun& and Bradstreet. They can automate and enhance your vendor management. So again, really quickly, can you just show any interest in learning more about this product, which is their vendor custom vendor management solution? And you can either select very interested, A, B, somewhat interested, and C, not at this time. And I'll just give you some of the benefits of the product. So automation, just as I said, it reduces manual effort in data entry and invoice processing, and also contract renewals. It provides a source of centralized analytics, which is your single source of truth for vendor data and comprehensive analysis on performance. And last but not the least, it offers seamless integration. So regardless of what system you are using right now, accounting, inventory, or ERP, this product or this solution is bound to integrate seamlessly with it. So at some point in this conversation, I'll hand over to Chijoke and he will speak a bit more about VendR. Okay, thank you. So next slide, please. Next slide. All right, so wrapping up, to recap, we have spoken a lot about strategic vendor management. Thank you. And how it has turned procurement from just a cost center to a profit generating machine. It's important to reposition it by optimizing or leveraging on relationships with your vendors or your suppliers and them more as strategic business partners rather than just a supplier of a product or service. Involve them in your planning, track their performance so that you can identify your strong players. And for those that need development or gaps that need to be closed, you can also identify and also work on that. through selection and training. It's important to embrace technology in 2025, and this is good for for providing better data analytics and automation. And last but not the least, it will create a cycle. Better relationships with more innovation and efficiency will drive growth. If you apply all these to your businesses, it will transform it from a cost center to a profit generating entity. So thank you very much for your time. And as we wrap up, I'll leave you with a quote from John D. Rockefeller, which says, "Do not be afraid to give up the good and go for the great." So Nigerian businesses, please do not settle for procurement as just a cost center or a buying department. Let us leverage on the advantages of having procurement in your organization and come up with your competitive advantage. Thank you very much. And now we'll open the floor for your questions. Thank you very much, everyone. Handing over to you, Chijoke.
Okay, thank you so very much, Shade. This was quite an insightful and engaging session we've had. And I'm very sure our listeners have picked quite a lot from all you said. Personally, I picked some notes for myself. You mentioned something about costs not being the only factor to be considered when selecting a vendor. We should also look at reliability, quality, and innovation, especially when it comes to technical procurement. You also mentioned automation, having the process being automated and reducing the human factor. Likewise, a centralized platform for 24/7 access. And having said this, I'm excited to introduce us to Dun& Bradstreet's vendor. Vendor simply meaning a vendor's registration and relationship. So it's an online cloud-based solution where vendors can register by submitting documents generally requested by international and as well as local organizations, basically for vendor onboarding. And the documents that are uploaded by the vendors, the informations provided by the vendors and suppliers are validated by D&B's team of researchers. And when validated, the company is assigned the Dun& Bradstreet DUNS number and a certificate. Just a second, please. I don't know if my
I
slides.
lost you for a second there. Wow.
Okay, yes,
Okay.
I noticed my slides aren't moving as it should.
Your slides are back up.
Okay. Are my slides still visible, please? Okay. Um,
Yes, they are. Yeah.
all right. So, Benjamin, can we go to the next slide? Okay, thank you. So, think of vendor as your single online access tool that is designed to drive operational efficiency. And this addresses the major procurement needs. You can clean and update your entire vendor database. no more fragmented, outdated informations. You can actively prevent the risk of supply chain disruptions. You have instant access to verified alternative suppliers. Because of the rigorous D&B process, you are rest assured that every company that is registered on that portal is validated. Also, Vendor gives you the visibility and insight you need to act fast. The dashboard is key. You see a picture on the right-hand side of the screen that shows a typical vendor dashboard. And you can see we have a total of 512 vendors on the system for this client. And because the portal manages the entire life cycle of the registration, you can see from 29 in-progress registrations to 72 submitted for review. And finally, critically, 402 approved vendors. So this shows the immediate operational impact and efficiency of the system. And also, if you need to access new suppliers for your procurement needs, you can easily go to the new suppliers button where you can segment them by differentiate them by geography and products. Also on the screen, you can see where the vendors are segmented by geographical insights and product insights. Next slide, please. So we don't just stop at the aggregate view. Vendor also allows you to have a 360-degree view of individual companies where you can drill down to have deeper understanding on predictive scores, financial, legal, and government indicators. So looking at what we have on the screen now, mounting pressures on procurement teams. Let's get started with a reality check. Procurement teams are under immense pressure, more now than ever before. We are seeing four major areas we've highlighted where they are struggling and also where vendor steps in to help. First is validating suppliers. The teams need to find the best possible suppliers for specific products, and they have to upgrade their data management to meet modern standards. Secondly, you have accelerate due diligence. The question is, how do you improve transparency while also reducing dependence on old school and personal networks? You know, every business must demonstrate commitment to ethical practices. And third, risk management, which is a 24 hours, 7 days a week job. Procurement teams are battling supply chain disruption even before they happen. They also face severe penalties for non-compliance, all while struggling with outdated information scattered across multiple systems. And finally, we have cost efficiency, to improve cost efficiency, which is more of the topic of the day. Here, procurement managers need profitable growth and have to optimize a supply chain that is growing in formidable scale and complexity due to globalization. We all know that labor-intensive process costs quite a lot. So Vendor gives you all that in just one platform. So with all these pressures, procurement teams are facing, this is where Dun & Bradstreet Vendor steps in as a solution. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you. So we have been talking about the benefits to the procurement managers, but vendor gives a level playing field. It's a win-win for everybody, both the procurement managers and the vendors. What are the main goals of the vendors? Majorly to grow and to thrive. Firstly, we can talk about establishing credibility. Vendors want to apply transparency policies in gaining global customers because in today's challenging data landscape, transparency is favored by global companies and helps build trust. Also, increased turnover. Vendors are looking for profitable growth, and vendor gives them access to new customers and lending in an escalating competitive environment. We also consider customer retention. Verification is rising in importance for industrial customers. So vendors need a platform to show that they stay in line with customer supply management policies. And finally, we have enhancing cross-selling. And this is a key strategy to customer loyalty. Vendor helps them make their products range fully visible to both current and potential customers, thereby increasing their cross-selling opportunities. Next slide, Benjamin. Okay, here on the screen, you can see some of our customers and how they have implemented the vendor in their system. You can see Walter Smith, you can see Ikeja Electric, and where they have requested for DUNS number certificate for any vendor that wants to register on their portal. Next slide. Okay, here we have Aradel and Seplat. These are a few of our customers on the vendor system. And that brings us to the end of the presentation. Now we are up for the question and answer. So if you have any questions so far, like I mentioned initially,